So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I even wrote out a little introduction, and I didn't get a chance to get it printed out. So I'll pretend like I'm somebody else reading my own introduction. Our speaker tonight is the author of Driving to the End of the World and the forthcoming Heal Yourself with Your Voice. He has had an ongoing fascination with brain science, awareness, and consciousness since 1975. His life's journey has included cosmetic dentistry, stand-up comedy, video production. You think that's a joke, don't you? Marketing, and a solo driving odyssey from Tucson all the way to the southern tip of South America. Since then, he has focused on empowering others to live their adventure. In recent years, he has focused on the power of questions and the power of the sound ah for connecting people with their higher selves. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Mark McMahon. When I finished this, I did this long journey. I drove from Tucson all the way to the southern tip of South America. And I did it primarily because I wanted to take pictures. I had a dental practice here in Tucson. How many of you have heard this story before? A few of you have. Okay. So I was practicing dentistry here in Tucson. My father had passed away, and I was driving home on East Speedway. And my father had passed away about 3 weeks earlier. And I was suddenly struck with my own mortality. Like, we all know we're going to die. But in this moment, it just hit me like a thunderstorm. Like, boom, wow, I'm going to die too. And so in that moment, I said to myself, I got to do what I need to do with my life, and I need to do it now, soon. And in that moment, I made a commitment to take 6 months off to do what I loved, and that was travel and take pictures. And I said, I'm going November 1st, no matter what. And then between the time that I set the date and the time the date came around, instead of taking 6 months off, I ended up selling my dental practice, selling a trademark I had on the name SmileWorks, and selling a videotape that I had made for other dentists. All 3 separate deals were signed and sealed on the same day, November 1st. So I was like, got kicked through the goalposts of life by God, and I took off and I drove from Tucson all the way to the southern tip of South America. I spent about 2.5 years on the road taking pictures and writing stories for a website. And this is back in 1999 when websites weren't, there was no such thing as a blog. I was doing a blog before the word even existed. And I wrote all these stories and predominantly took pictures, but I really got into the writing. And I took my website and I converted it to a book. And then I started doing talks to sell my book, to promote my book. And I had all my photos, and I had really cool quotes with the photos. And so there'd be a beautiful music, photo, quote. And then I had the idea, why don't I change the quotes to questions? Because questions are more provocative. They make you engage and think for yourself and come up with answers rather than somebody telling you what to do. So that became a project that I called 49 Questions. And it became like a visual meditation. And I added binaural beats. Does anybody know what binaural beats are? Nobody? Nobody knows what binaural beats are?
Educate us.
Huh?
Educate us. Something like your heartbeat. It's a double.
Not quite. It is sort of almost a subliminal beat that entrains your brain into specific brainwave states. In other words, there are 4 different brainwave states. Basically, there's beta, which is normal waking consciousness. There's alpha, which is sort of relaxed and aware. And then there's theta, which is kind of dreams and twilight sleep kind of thing. And then there's delta, which is asleep. So a certain number of beats per minute. These brain waves are calibrated in beats per minute, or waves per minute. And these beats are, the binaural beats are timed to match the brain waves. So you hear these beats and it gets you into an alpha state or a theta state, whatever you choose. Question?
Can you spell
Binaural.
that? Thank you.
And so I made this meditation tape, a visual meditation tape with the brain entrainment, and that project was called 49 Questions. And I made a card deck. Eventually became a card deck with one side was the photos from the slideshow from my travels, and the other side is a unique thought-provoking question. So there's 49 images, 49 questions. We'll be doing an exercise later tonight with the questions. So then I was humming along with that project, really having fun with it, and all of a sudden I had taken a workshop, a vibrational healing workshop, and I learned this procedure that this woman called vocal scanning in this workshop. And basically it's using the sound of your voice scanning up and down to find the frequency at which someone's body resonates. So if you have a wine glass and you're able to hit the right frequency, you can make that wine glass vibrate until it shatters. So that's the resonant frequency of a wine glass. And a lot of you know about crystal bowls. They have a resonant frequency. If you tap the bowl, it makes a specific sound. You tap the wine glass, specific sound. You match that sound and make it powerful enough, you can make it shatter. Right? Are you with me? So where was I going with this? Somebody bring me vocal scanning. Yes. Okay. So a wine glass and a crystal bowl has its own frequency, and everything, just about everything in the universe has a resonant frequency. Your body has an overall frequency, and different parts of your body have specific frequencies. So this lady was teaching me how to find the resonant frequency of someone's body, and basically it was scanning up and down with the sound ooh, and I would go. And maybe you can hear the resonant frequency of this room. I'll go up and down until I find, I'll listen for a spot that starts to resonate. We'll see if we can do it. And I think I'll come over here and face this way. Now what you're looking for is, I'll be scanning up and down, and all of a sudden I'll feel a spot that starts to resonate. And what that means is sort of like the sound starts to spread out. So see if you can hear it when I scan up and down, and I'll hone in on it. Got to relax a little bit here. Okay. How many of you could hear that spot before I landed on it? Okay, that's the resonant frequency of this room. So your body has a similar frequency, and just like I said earlier about the wine glass, if you hit that frequency hard enough for the wine glass, it'll make it shatter. It makes the frequency, it makes the sound sort of add on to itself automatically. So, question?
I said that sounds like fun.
It is. It is fun. Was there an entendre in there, a double entendre that I missed, or no? Okay, 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 great. I'll just have to watch the tape because I can't remember what I said. So anyway, the point is that when you hit this one frequency, it sends this sonic energy into someone's body. So what I did to the room, I was trained to do to someone's body. And basically, I put my hands on their back, over their heart chakra, and I do the same thing. And I scan up and down until I hit until I feel the frequency that vibrates in that person's body. And I can feel it by training, and the person can feel it in their body because it does different things to different people, but some people feel vibrations going in various directions. And the point is that it's multiplying this energy, it's adding this energy into your body that you can sort of choose what you want to do with it. You can focus on something, and what you focus on, your body will sort of suck up the energy and do what it needs to do. Any questions so far? Okay.
For instance.
What's that?
For instance. What was you want to focus on something?
Just like with EFT. I'm going to try and tie this in with how it's similar to EFT because everybody can relate to that. So you focus on an ache or a pain or a mental emotional issue, and you focus on that, and the energy will naturally go there and break up. If you look at pain or a mental emotional block as blocked energy in your body, and you focus on it, the energy will break up that block and allow the energy to flow. So I learned this technique. At this weekend workshop. No, it was a one-day workshop. And I went home and I tried it on a couple people. I tried it on my buddy Ed, and he had a headache, and his headache went away right away. He said he'd had a headache for 2 weeks. And I thought, wow, that's cool. And I tried it on a few more people, and kind of mixed results. Nothing to write home about. And I forgot about it for a year and a half. Didn't do it on anybody, didn't think about it. And then I ran into Ed at a party, And he's like, Mark, do that thing. And I'm like, what thing? And he refreshed my memory, and at this point he had a backache. And I did it again, and his backache went away. And I'm like, cool. And then he starts bringing people to me from the party. He's grabbing this person, try it on him, try it on her. So I had a streak of 4 people in a row with whatever physical ailment they had cleared up completely. 4 people in a row, and I'm like, wow, I don't remember this being so powerful. Hey, how are you? You want to sit over here? And so that week, following the party, I went around and I grabbed everybody I could to try it on, and I had a streak of 10 people in a row with 100% success, all working on physical items. And I was like, wow, this is cool. One of those 10 people was a teacher. She had a personal development class in Phoenix, and she said, wow, Mark, you're really moving energy. Will you come up to my class and do this for my class? And I'm like, sure, I'll try it. So I went up to this class, and I tried it in front of a group of about 25 people, and I brought 5 different people up on stage. And the results in front of a group were intensified and magnified like 3 or 4 times. First person I brought up on stage, she had a headache, and usually it would take me 2 or 3 breaths, 3 or 4 breaths maybe, to get a result. Like 1/3 of the way through the breath, she whips around, she says, my headache's gone. I'm like, wow. And I did it on a couple other people and had really positive, quick results. And there was even somebody sitting in the front row, and she said, I had a pain in my thumb and it went away. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Then a lady said, I have a broken heart. Will it work with that? And I said, I don't know, you want to try? And so she comes up, and she's facing the group, and I'm behind her, facing her back. And I start doing this thing, and she breaks down in tears in front of the whole group. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? I'm in trouble now. And the teacher comes up and holds her hand and guides her, talks her through it. And as soon as she calms down, she says, I want more. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And so I proceeded to do that, do a couple more breaths, and she had this release, a feeling of relief from her broken heart. And so at that point I realized, hey, this is pretty cool. The energy of a group really magnifies things, and I can do more than just physical stuff. I can do mental, emotional stuff. And so I started doing small groups, and I would have one person in front of me, and I'm sending the sound into their back, and I would be doing the sound ooh, like boo, because it travels like sonar, and I would have the person in front of me using the sound ah, like ah. And ah, as opposed to ooh, tends to resonate inside your body. And ooh travels. So I had me behind the person using ah, and then I had a semicircle of people in front sending the sound ooh, all focused on the person's heart center. And then all kinds of cool stuff started happening, like psychic and spiritual sort of awakenings or manifestations. People would start to feel energy coming out of their head and see wavy lines and all kinds of stuff. And I was just totally hooked. And I had no idea how it was working, because I was not a singer. The lady who taught me was a trained singer. She was a cabaret singer and also a PhD in some kind of energy work, psychology or something. And but I had absolutely no singing background or no vocal training. And I had a big history in meditation and in consciousness studies and stuff like that. But I was fascinated because of the cool results. And the other thing that really fascinated me is that I discovered right in the beginning is that when I would hit that note, I would hone in on that note. When I would hit that note, everything in the room, everything in the universe would disappear except for that tone. And as long as I stayed on that note, there was nothing but that tone in the universe. And I thought that was really cool, because it was like this instantaneous altered state of consciousness. And I recently, this has been about 3 years since I started getting into it earnestly. And it's only been in the last 6 or 7 months that I started studying, going back and thinking about my experiences and studying consciousness and brainwaves and that kind of stuff. And I realized from my history in transcendental meditation that in that moment when everything disappeared, that's an experience of transcending. So there's no experience except for that tone. Thought is completely gone. Awareness of everything is gone. The fascinating thing for me was I felt like I had, in my history of meditating, I was in studying transcendental meditation years and years ago. They talked about transcending, but it was not a real reliable thing. Sometimes you did and sometimes you didn't, and it wasn't very controllable. This, on the other hand, was like clockwork. I could do it every time. I would hit that note and it would happen. So I was like, wow, I've found a way to like hotwire the universe. So that's why I became like this a man with a mission, because I felt like I had discovered some kind of power, at least for myself, not for everybody, but at least for me. This is a printout of someone's brain wave electro EEG reading. And this is someone in their normal waking state. This is broken up. Let me just show you all got really quick. See here. This has got two sides on it, left and right hemisphere of the brain. And then this is alpha, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. These are the different brainwave states or brain waves. And this is a normal brainwave pattern for the subject in this study. And then this is the brainwave pattern for that same person when they hit the fundamental frequency. Now, do you see the big difference there? It's very synchronized. The first one is like scattered all over the place, and it's not very symmetrical. And it's scattered throughout the brain waves. This one is down where people are usually sound asleep and dreaming, these bottom two here. And it's very synchronized. So anyway, your brain is functioning. Your brain instantly goes into this altered state. And so when you talk about manifesting and connecting with your higher self or with another form of with the universe, yes, that's a method for tuning in that way.